Welcome everybody to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman, and you guys are watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. We got a great Friday lineup for you all. We're going to start the show right off the bat with Andy Lang. He's got a prop bet for us on Jordan Spieth. He's also got a prop bet for us on Patrick Mahomes. Ralph Michaels after that. He's going to look at Baltimore against Oakland and a college football play on Penn State. He's got a chart as well talking about, well, it's to celebrate Teddy's NFL season win total release. And we're going to end the show with Bryan Leonard and a couple of baseball bets. Teddy covers, what's your big game breakdown? And you got yourself a haircut.
I did. I need a haircut, every month or so. Big game breakdown today. We're going to talk a big game, the Phillies and the Braves NL East battle. And, of course, in What Bettors Learn, I'll talk about the importance of routine, doing the same thing the same way every day, a lesson that I unfortunately didn't do yesterday. Lawrence?
Theodore, when you go for a haircut, given our age, are they trimming the ears?
Oh, yeah, all of that stuff. The ears, the nose, all the stuff that trimmed when I was 20 gets trimmed now, yes.
So I'm lucky enough to have no ear hair yet. I'm guessing Andy Lang doesn't either. He's a young little pup. But it's coming, Andy. That ear hair is coming, bro.
I have not had any ear hair issues so far. So fingers crossed. I've got great genes on both sides of my family with hair. So I think I'm in really, really good shape moving forward. But yes, I've avoided the dreaded ear hair situation.
Eric D asks, Prez, why are you covering up that sweet hair? Eric, I'm golfing with my dad today. Just didn't want to gel it. It's too hot outside. I needed to wear a hat. So I'm like, hey, I'll wear a hat. Okay, brother. So Jordan Spieth, we got a golf tournament. It's Friday. It's a round 2 bet. Fill us in.
Yeah, we're fading Jordan Spieth. He was the betting favorite, which was ridiculous, and then he shot -2 in his first round, which at this course is terrible. So we're going to take him to shoot over 67.5. That means he has to get to -4 for this bet to lose, and I just don't see it. He only had 4 birdies yesterday and 2 bogeys. This is one of the easiest courses that they're going to play all year, and once again, the demons that have troubled him this year flared up again yesterday. 131st in the field in approaches. And the big thing with him is his putting has gone away from him this year. 94th in putting yesterday, -0.3 strokes gained putting. This is a guy that used to be, it was the best short game on tour. His around the green numbers were great. His putting numbers were great, but it's just not there. And on this course, to ask him to shoot -4 when your putting is not good and when your approaches are not good, it's too much to ask. He's been a fade the entire season. For whatever reason, I think people still just think of the big name, Jordan Spieth, but he just doesn't have top 20 finishes. His game isn't dialed in for whatever reason. It's been a disastrous year. So I do not think he gets to -4. I would be surprised if he makes the cut at this point. And once again, those putting woes that have plagued him all year long, plaguing him again. So let's take him over 67.5. This play goes off at 1:38 Eastern time. So you got about an hour and a half left to put this one in.
Well, you just answered my follow right before I was about to give it. It was just how long we have to put this bet in. And the answer is about an hour and a half. So thank you for sharing that with us, Andrew. So I'll just move on to the next game, which is not a game. It is a season-long prop, but it's an interesting guy to fade. Patrick Mahomes. We're going under with his season-long passing yards prop. Tell us why.
So 4,350.5 is the number, and it's just one of those numbers that's so big, everything has to go right in order for him to go over. And if we just have one thing that goes wrong for the season, he's going to go under. So we take a look at just some of his stats last year. He did not get there, 4,183 yards. His attempts were way down. His average target was way down, and his average caught pass was way down. And I think it was probably the Tyreek Hill effect. But 2022, his average was 8.1. And then last year it was all the way down to 7.0. So he's not having those huge explosive plays. And we've got the looming Rashee Rice potential suspension. I'm trying to figure out if we can get clarity on this. And some people say, well, they're not going to suspend him until after the season. Some people say, no, they're going to suspend him for this season. But this depth chart for the wide receivers, we saw it last year. And again, it's not great. I know they added Marquise Brown, and Travis Kelce maybe is healthier, but if he's not, I just don't see a lot of explosions here. Isaiah Pacheco looks great, and it looks like he's going to be a little bit even more of a bell cow running back. And we saw this Chiefs team; they had success with defense, with running. I don't know if they totally trust all these wide receivers like Mecole Hardman and some of these other guys. So, and then once again, Teddy, we always talk about this one injury, and he misses a few games. This is an easy under cash. So we're always looking to try and find these unders, and I just think this number is so high. You got way too many things that have to go right for him to go over, so I will happily take the under.
So, Mahomes has gone over 4 times in his 6 years as a starter, and he was able to go over this total. He would finish with 4,700 yards in a year where he missed a start, and he's not a quarterback who has any injury history whatsoever. Do any of those factors concern you here? Because clearly, this is a guy who hasn't gotten hurt and who is more than capable of exceeding this number. Are you counting on injury here? Or are you counting on the Chiefs receivers to be as bad as they were last year? Which, my numbers have that receiving core upgraded from a year ago. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, of course. This guy's been an Iron Man. He's like, we've seen him get hurt and then just play through it and really gutty performances. But, there was 2019, he only played 14 games, 2020, 15. I don't want to say he's due for an injury, but he has been rushing the ball. He puts himself in harm's way a little bit, and I just get one little injury. And I just think there are a lot of things that potentially could go wrong for him to go over this prop. You also could look at what if he doesn't play in the last game of the season and we miss a full game because their playoff seeding is already wrapped up. I like their defense. I like their rushing game. I think that's what they're going to depend on a little bit more. And this is a team that's championship or bust. So I don't think he's going to need to be airing the ball out a ton. I just like all the little things that add up on the under. Of course, if he plays every game and if you're right, the wide receiving core is upgraded, yeah, we could be in a situation where we lose this one. But there's just a lot of things built up for me to lean towards the under on it.
Andy Lang, and likely you're going to hold a winning bet right up until you don't, which, if that happens, will be at the end of the season. Andy, what do you got to promote?
Cross-sport parlay, sweeping the nation. I will say our cross-sport parlays continue to cash. We're 22-9 on these. It's a 3% best bet that is up, starts tomorrow. Encourage everyone to grab that. We had a great week at Wimbledon. It was so good. We're kind of done with bets for it. We got our profits. We got in and got out. And this is the only thing that we have going. It's something that I've absolutely played with my own bankroll. Encourage everyone to grab that. It's the cross-sport parlay of the week. We hit the one last week, so we're looking to cash on this one again. That's all we got up. WagerTalk.com.
Andy Lang, as good as it gets in handicapping. If you guys have never bought his plays, what are you waiting for? Just a consistent winner. Teddy Covers, it's time for What Did Bettors Learn?
So I went into the 4th of July, Lawrence, and I was hot as a firecracker. I won my last 9 in baseball over the last 9 days, seeing things very clearly. And historically, the last month/6 weeks for the All-Star break, June and July, that's been my best time of the year betting baseball. So I do expect a hot run or two around this time of year. I really do. And of course, during that entire span, I didn't lay more than -120 in any game. So 4th of July, I'm trying to get stuff up early so clients don't have to worry about when the play is coming out. And I decide to post overnight, and I lay more than -120, and it's just dumb. I was debating first 5 versus full game. I was supposed to sleep on that, ended up picking the wrong one. I like to post in the morning when I can get a real feel for what the betting markets are noticing and what they're missing, who's the public in love with, what are the public sides, what public sides or totals are okay, what are the nuances I'm missing with the starting pitching. All that stuff to me is stuff that I usually do in the morning after I make my short list at night. But for 4th of July, I'm like, all right, I want to post overnight. Everyone gets to play. No one has to worry about it, yada, yada. And it lost, and it was wrong. I mean, the Orioles bullpen got lit up against Seattle. The Mariners avoided a sweep. I was wrong. When you're a creature of habit, like I am, I do the same thing the same way every single day. These routines matter, as my clients and I found out the hard way yesterday. The good news for today, back in the normal routine again. Let's hope there are no lingering effects. A single best bet available right now at WagerTalk.com. Lawrence?
Teddy, I want to shout out Landon. We spoke about him on Wednesday. He mentioned how much I suck. Haven't lost a game since. So went 3-0 on Wednesday night. Went 1-0-1 last night. I actually was on that Baltimore game, Teddy. I had Baltimore first 5 on the money line. It did end up pushing, but I got Seattle got those 2, 1 inning too early. But still, I'm now on a 7-1 run in baseball. And you know, brother, I had a terrible start to the baseball season. A couple of really bad months, just really couldn't get going. And the exact same thing happened to me this past NBA season. And while we all know how the second half of that NBA season went, I ended up making my clients a ton of cash. I think it's a great time to bet my plays, guys. I think that, I've started a streak. I'm seeing it well right now. And I do well in baseball almost every year. So this is just a good time to bet my plays. And keep in mind, I am leaving town tomorrow, heading to Las Vegas for a night, then going to Antelope Canyon to hike and kayak in 40-degree weather, and then back to Vegas for 3 Grateful Dead shows. Every time I go away, I win. Perfect time to purchase the Prez. And that's the first time I've said that in a month. So I feel like I have some credibility. Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. One of the best guys on the planet. Ralph, how are you?
Doing wonderful, guys. Hope everyone had a very happy and safe 4th of July.
Well, Teddy, did you do anything special?
Isaac lit off a boatload of fireworks. We did a Pahrump trip earlier to get the good stuff. So Isaac was a little pyromaniac last night, and I supervised, which was fun.
And you, Ralph, what did you do?
Other than that, no, it's too hot. And if you think, honestly, if you think you're doing anything in Antelope Canyon, you're not doing anything in Antelope Canyon, dude. It's as hot as it's been in Vegas. In the 23 years that I've lived, how many years have I lived out here? 27 years?
Yeah, I know.
Right now, it's literally the hottest stretch that it's been. You're not going outside between 10 a.m. and sunset. It's just not happening.
Oh, our hike and kayak is 10 to 2. And I am going to do it. And I will send you pictures. The good thing is I'll lose some weight. Speaking of losing weight, you look amazing, Ralph. And you're keeping it up. So congratulations. Let's get straight into some sports betting action. Ralph Michaels, Baltimore, Oakland. What do you got for us in this game?
Guys, I'm making a no-run first inning play here, and I don't want you to get too excited if I say it's my strongest no-run first play of the season, because I've been loading them as free plays. I've been making most of them 1%. This actually I made a 1.5%. So when I say the strongest, keep that in perspective. This is just like the perfect storm. We look at Baltimore. Baltimore has gone 4 straight games, no run first inning, and they have not scored a first inning run in 6 games. When Baltimore plays on the road, they are the most efficient no-run first inning team. 31 of their 41 road games have not had a first inning run. That is 76%. And when I look at Baltimore's 41 road games, folks, they have only scored a first inning run 4 times. That is 9.8%. Now let's look at the A's. 5 straight no-run first innings. They have not scored a first inning run since June 22nd. That is 10 straight games. And they have the exact record Baltimore has on the road. When you look at the A's at home, Oakland has played 41 home games. They have scored a first inning run only 4 times. Again, that is 9.8%. This season, totals of 8 or less. There have been over 640 games. No run first inning, 370. Yes run first inning, 274. That is 57.4% to the under. No run first inning with a total of 8 or less. And if it's a total of 8 or less in the first game of a series, 60.3% of those games have been a no-run first inning. So I'm going to say my strongest play, but again, please do realize it is a client release, but it is a 1.5% play.
So, Ralph, I have to say the over in this game is probably the single strongest wise guy total move overnight. Where the over, this was 8 at the open. Now it's 8.5 juice to the over. Totals don't get a whole lot higher than that in Oakland. I think they have one total all year with it that's been higher than 8.5. Literally, you talk about the 41 games that they played. Does it concern you at all that the money's pouring in on the over, and this is the highest total that you're going to find for A's home games?
Well, take a look, Teddy. The A's are off back-to-back shutouts for a pitching staff. When's the last time that happened? No, again, a full game and first run are completely different. When you have a team, a combined, Baltimore on the road, Oakland at home, they've scored 8 times in 82 games, and all those other numbers, that's a situation I'm happy to back, even if it's a wise guy move to the over.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. And Ralph, this bet fascinates me. Penn State minus 140 to make the college football playoffs. Man, there is very little room for error when it comes to making the college football playoffs. And you like this Nittany Lions team. Plus, you got to pay. Why?
Prez, just the opposite. I think that this year, to make the college football teams aren't priced properly. Remember last year, Prez, we had 4 college football playoff teams. Next year, we have 12.
Yep.
When your big 4 division winners are going to get the bye. When I look through my top 13 teams, Notre Dame is in the top 13, and the other 12 are all Big Ten and SEC. There is no way the Big Ten and the SEC each don't get 3 teams into the playoffs. You look at Penn State's schedule. They returned 14 starters this year. They have their head coach back. They have their quarterback back, who had a 29-2 ratio. They are a double-digit favorite in 10 games. I project them to be a 7-point favorite at USC. And the only team among the top 3 teams in the Big Ten they play is Ohio State. They get them at home. And if that's a whiteout, Penn State at home at night in a whiteout is the strongest home field edge I give any foe. Penn State can lose that Ohio State game. Hell, they can even lose that USC game, and they will still make the college football playoffs. I think those SEC and Big Ten, those top-tier teams, are undervalued at this point. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that there's 12 administrators in the college football playoff committee. And guess what? The Penn State president is one of those 12.
Is that one of those little factors that matters, Ralph? When you talk about Penn State's president being on the committee that's going to determine the playoffs, because obviously when you're going from a 14 playoff to a 12-team playoff, the nuances of how those additional 8 teams are going to get selected is still very much in question. All right. So having your guy on the committee, is that a pro? Is that a minus? Or is it a non-factor?
Well, he's not allowed to vote for his own. But listen, Teddy, there's a lot of sway that goes in. I remember the Ohio State TCU scenario when the Ohio State person was on there and TCU went crazy, and they say there's no nepotism for your team. But I'll tell you what, it can't hurt. It's no reason to bet a team, but it's certainly just an extra little notch to the belt. Just, again, it can't be a negative. It can only be a positive. And if it's a no factor, no big deal. I like to play anyway.
So, Ralph, just to follow with this, what's fascinating to me about what you said is this is the first year where we've gone from 4 to 12. So you feel like next year or the year after, the lines will get tighter. There's just a little bit of confusion, or lack of experience, if you will, as we enter the first year with 12 teams making the playoffs?
Prez, I think it's part of the SEC and Big Ten, such a disparity between the Big 12 and ACC. Of my top 13 teams in my power ratings for this year, again, I have Notre Dame in there, and every other team is Big Ten or SEC. So to me, there is such a fall off that there's no question the third place team in the SEC and the Big Ten is going to be so far ahead of the second team in the ACC or Big 12, unless something funky happens and they all beat each other. So it's not that it's necessarily that I think it's necessarily going to get tighter because of this. The disparity from top to bottom for me is so big this season that I think there's an edge.
Right. Ralph Michaels. Teddy, your NFL season win total release. Listen, this is a big deal every year. Guys, I would say it's one of, if not the top thing to purchase at WagerTalk. You've done unbelievable with this report for, I think, and I could be wrong here, 62 straight years.
No, we started, the first report was in 2001. So this will be the 24th season. Sorry, Lawrence, I don't mean to cut you off.
You're not even 62, dude.
I
was taking a shot at how old you look. Anyway, when is it coming out?
It came out 3 days ago, as we promoted and talked about on the show. Yes.
Okay. Well, I will check it out myself. I got a great win-loss pick up in my free pick section, inspired by Ralph Michaels, who has now been inspired by you. Ralph, your chart.
Well, guys, there's two parts to this chart. The left part was just information for you to decipher as you wish. It is the last 3 years when we've had 17 games and the previous 3 years when there were 16 games. I'm going to skip over that. And this was an afterthought. I did that first chart not even thinking about when we switched to 17 games, the AFC has 9 home games one year, the NFC has the next. So take a look at the right-hand chart where we had the 8-win teams, 8 home games, and 9 home games. Now, when I think of home games for teams between win totals of 7 and 10, those are teams in the middle of the road. One extra home game is a significant edge if you're a 50-50 type team. And again, we only have 3 years of data. I'm not telling you to bet those numbers based on this, but how about this? When teams have had 9 home games with a total between 7 and 10, they have gone 15 and 11 to the over. When a team has had 8 home games with a total between 7 and 10, they have gone 9, 20, and 2. A massive edge for those 9 teams with home games in those middle range over-under totals from 7 to 10. We'll see if those continue for this season.
And Ralph, one of the things that I love about your charts is that you put up something and find something in there. I found something completely different. There were 2 things that stood out to me from that chart, neither of which were what stood out to you in that chart, which now that I'm looking at it makes a ton of sense. This is what stood out to me in that chart. When we look at the 17-game versus 16-game season, look at those 5, 6, 7 win teams. That's been the sweet spot for overs in the 17-game season. Teams between 5 and 7 wins have been really good to the over, where they weren't that in the past. So that little sweet spot for overs, 5 to 7 wins. The other thing that stood out to me is the teams at the top. When you talk about the 9 home game teams that are lined at 10 or 10.5 or higher, they've been a disaster with the season win total. So those 2 things stood out to me. The success of the 5, 6, 7 win teams and the disaster of the 9 home games, 10.5 plus win teams. 2 more things worth noting. And of course, I'm sure Ralph will tweet this chart out so you will have a chance to peruse it yourself and see what you come up with. What do you think, Ralph? Do those 2 make sense to you?
The one thing I love about these charts is I do this chart, I learn something. You analyze it, I learn even more. That's why I love sharing these charts. I mean, we can look at data and people interpret data and know how positive it is. So absolutely agree. And one reason I would say that those top-rated teams that now have that extra game, if you have a total of 10, 11, or 12, you likely won your division. That means if you're Buffalo, your crossover game might be the Chiefs. And the home edge isn't as important when you have those top-tier teams going on the road where that home edge isn't as significant as those middle-of-the-road teams.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day and hit that thumbs up button, please. Also, subscribe to our channel. We have an unbelievable amount of content, and it's all helpful, all informative. So take a second out of your day, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Ralph Michaels, I know you gave out a pick already, one of your client picks. What else do you have going today?
I have one play, but I do want to mention my preseason. Guys, preseason since 2015, I'm 65.4%. Preseason plays 4% and higher, 40 and 13, 75.5%. Sign up now, it's just $99. And I want to give a shout out to my great friend who's coming up next, Bryan Leonard. Number one the last 3 days, number one the last 7 days, number one the last 30 days in profit. Happy Holy Trinity, Bryan. Best of luck on your 5%.
Yeah, guys, Bryan has a very rare 5% play going tonight. He's on a 23-6 run on his 3% bets and higher, and this is only his second 5% play of the season. So please take advantage of that. You know, hottest handicapper we have the last 3, 7, and 30 days. We're going to have him on in a minute. Teddy covers. What's your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown. Let's talk about the NLE showdown, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Atlanta. Let's call them minus 130 at home, minus 135 in some spots. We have seen a little bit of Phillies money this morning. Total sitting at 7.5, juice to the over in this one. And we have obviously a huge series for the Braves. The Phillies have a 9-game lead over Atlanta. The Phillies eliminated Atlanta in the NLDS last year. They eliminated Atlanta in the NLDS the year before. If the Braves are going to do anything, this is supposed to be a circle the wagons type of series. So how does Atlanta come into this? Well, they come in ice cold. Not ice cold, but losing a series to San Francisco again yesterday. They've lost 5 of their last 8. Like the Phillies are playing great. But they've been feasting on the week. They're 8-4 their last 12. They got bombed in Chicago yesterday to snap their 3-game winning streak. But, you know, they played the D-backs and the Tigers and the Marlins and the Cubs in their last 4 series. No teams that resemble Atlanta. We've got 2 aces on the hill. You know, Max Fried has allowed, 1 run in each of his last 3 starts. You know, he pitched a gem last time out in a 2-1 wins. He's allowed 2 runs or less 10 of his last 10 of 14 starts. And the Braves 12-4 in his 16 starts this season. Meanwhile, you got Aaron Nola on the other side. You know, Nola's been throwing gem after gem. He's allowed 3 earned runs or less 14 times in 16 starts, 2 earned runs or less in 11 of those 16. The Phillies, they're still without 3 starters, 3 sluggers. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, all still sitting on the injured list. The Braves aren't hitting. What have they scored? 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 6, 0, and 1. Their last 8 games, so 3 or less in 7 of those contests. What's the low-hanging fruit here? The under. That's what, especially first 5 under. You get first 5 under 4 right now. And you get that at even money if you shop around. 2 aces, 2 lineups that aren't hitting. Let's expect. And a game with, you know, playoff level intensity. Let's expect a low-scoring start. Braves, Phillies, under 4. First 5 innings. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Let's keep this show moving. We got a hard stop today. I got to leave. I got a 40-minute drive ahead of me. Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. Oh, bugger off, Teddy. What's going on, my friend? How are
minutes.
you? Oh my.
I'm doing well, as you pointed out, as my friend Rolf was nice enough to point out. I don't remember the last time I saw somebody that was number one for 3, 7, and 30. I'm also number 1 in baseball the last 60, all going all the way back to May 1st. So I can't complain at all. No, everything's going great. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you setting that up, Brian, because the last person was me, and it was 3 months ago. So greatly appreciate that. Number one and last.
Shows you it doesn't happen very often, right?
Well, for other people, Bri. I mean, you and me, we got it covered, bro. We got it covered. I mean, for Teddy, not so much, but listen, outstanding stuff, dude. And it's not easy, with all the incredible experts over at WagerTalk to be number one in any time period, let alone 3, 7, and 10. Let's get straight to it. We've got the Chicago White Sox playing Miami. A couple of days ago, everyone was all over the Guardians. That didn't go well. You going to play against the White Sox today?
I guess I am. White Sox are 9-35 on the road this season. They played much better lately than they did at the start of the year, no doubt about it. But are they really priced correctly in this matchup? Considering they are starting Drew Thorpe, a rookie, makes this play on the Marlins even stronger. The Sox are a bettable team when they got their 2 top starters on the mound. The pair of Fetty and Crochet have been excellent. But beyond that, we just can't trust this Sox rotation. Thorpe was a key piece in the return for Dylan Cease with the Padres. But we're concerned that his most used pitch, the four-seamer, ranks in the 9th percentile in fastball velocity. A young pitcher without an overpowering fastball is not something we seek out here. Brian Hoying going for the Marlins. He's getting a spot start for Miami. He had 7 starts a year ago, but he's only pitched out of the bullpen this year. He's gone 19.2 innings, 11 appearances. So this is going to be likely a bullpen game. He probably won't go more than 3 innings in this one. But I think the Marlins have found some answers in the back of the bullpen. I like the way it's looking now. Even Puck is pitching much better. I like the back of the bullpen here for Miami. 2 worst hitting teams in baseball. Looking at WRC Plus, I look for a low-scoring game here, and I think Miami, in this price range, is clearly the better team, the team I want to bet. But I would not have any problem going against the White Sox team total here also. It'll be a low-scoring game.
So you talk about the White Sox struggles on the road. Miami's 16-30 at home. I think that's the worst home record in all of baseball. And we're laying a price with them here. And they lost, 4 in a row, 5 out of 6. Is Miami a team you can comfortably lay a price with?
Against the White Sox, yeah, I can. Miami's had a team this year. Take a look at their starting rotation. I mean, everybody's been beat to hell. They've got guys that are pulling out their, 10th, 11th, 12th guy in the minors coming out to pitch for them this season. They've just been devastated from a starting pitching standpoint. If they had these starters back and healthy, Miami would be a 500 ball club. But good points on Miami being a rare favorite here. But there's a reason why. If you go back, and I've talked to Al McMorty about this in the past, when bad teams are favored, they do very well. When good teams are underdogs, they do very well. That's what you want to play. You want to play a team in this price range that's clearly, I think Miami's clearly the better team here against the White Sox. The White Sox hitting has just been horrendous all year. Don't see it getting any better here.
Bryan Leonard, guys, make sure to play Brian's 5% play. Very rare play. It's only the 2nd of the season. Brian, I'm going to set up this game, and then I got to duck and leave you with Teddy. I just want to say to everybody, I hope you had a wonderful July 4th. I know the partying is continuing throughout the weekend. Have a lot of fun. Steve Merrill will be, Kelly Stewart is going to be doing a bunch of shows sitting in my chair with Teddy next week. Did you know that, Teddy? Kelly's going to be hosting.
I did not. I look forward to it.
Yes, so Kelly and Teddy next week, everybody. Bri, thanks for joining us, my friend. Let's talk the Blue Jays, who have had a terrible season so far. They're playing Seattle today. The Jays are plus 128. How do we bet this game?
Yep, in honor of my Canadian friend Prez, we'll leave him with the Toronto Blue Jays is a team I'm looking to play in this game. It's not a good spot for the Mariners. Really struggled hitting in this building all season long. After being completely shut down in the first 2 games of this series, the the Mariners bats managed 7 runs yesterday against the Orioles. They're feeling pretty good. They tried to change their luck with the pregame meeting, and they had a lot of fun out of that. But really, they were not dominating in that game at all. They were losing most of that game. So I don't think the Mariners bats are back. They are feeling good about themselves, and they're taking on a struggling Kevin Gausman. Blue Jays big righty's having a rough year, coming back from major surgery. Got a 4.75 ERA, 1.34 WHIP. But he's been in the majors for 10 years. He's a dominant major league pitcher. He didn't forget to get people out. He doesn't. He's just going through some problems. He'll figure it out. I'll take the long distance run around here for the yes fans out there, and take a look at what he's done in his career as opposed to what he's done lately. I think this is a bargain price for Gausman. Luis Castillo still has a solid 23.8 to 6.9 strikeout to walk ratio. If you take a look at his advanced stats, there's a lot to be desired. A lot of blue on his StatCast page. I think this is a bargain price here with the Jays. Nobody wants the Jays here. Seattle, after that win yesterday, this is one of those where I'm fading the team that is overpriced with the team that has some value, and that's Toronto.
So conceptually, I have no problem with fading Seattle. Seattle's not a team that I'm particularly enamored with, and the betting markets have priced them a little bit high, considering the starting pitching's been really good, but obviously it's a lineup that has struggled to hit all season. But so is Toronto. Toronto, what are they now? They've lost 4 of their last 5. Certainly not in any current form that anyone's excited about. And Gausman in particular has been a guy who I've been trying to fade. His June numbers were awful. I bet against him last time out. He got absolutely bombed. Why is Gausman bet on here? This isn't one start for him. This is like his last 4 starts have all been rough. Why are you convinced that stuff that he did 5 years ago matters for this start now when you're talking about an experienced major leaguer?
I definitely understand your opinion. I've gone against Gausman in the past. He is not the same pitcher he was earlier. He came into the season, they thought he was going to have surgery, and he decided to pass up the surgery and play his way out of it. Yes, it is a concern. He's not the way he was in the past, but I think he has a lot of talent. And this Seattle team, if you've seen my videos anywhere this year, I talked about the batter's eye in Seattle. It's off target. It's not exactly in the middle like it is in all the other ballparks. So Seattle struggles to see the ball at home. I don't want to lay a number with this offense that can't see the ball at home. It's happened all season long. Much would rather play Seattle when they're on the road. Toronto's a team right now. They have to decide if they're in or they're out. This is the sit on the pot and whatever that saying is. Figure out what you want to do. If Toronto comes into Seattle and gets beat, they're going to be sellers, and nobody on that team wants to have to move. They still have a lot of talent on this Toronto team. They're expected to be about a 500 ball club, maybe even a little bit better this year. Seattle, the same way. To me, I'm getting value here on Gausman because nobody wants part of Gausman right now. This is not going to be a pretty pick for those out there that watch these teams play. But, Teddy, we've done this for so many years. That's the time you want to bet on a team, when there's a pitcher there that has the capabilities, and he's done lousy as of late going against a team that's getting a little bit too much press, and that's Seattle. And now, for the first time all year, they're starting to feel the pressure. Houston Astros right behind them. I don't want to bet the Seattle team here.
Shit or get off the pot for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Brian says they're going to poop. So take a look at Toronto tonight. Brian, you are absolutely, positively on fire. All right. Baseball is a sport you take very seriously. I give you all the credit in the world. You're crushing it right now. And you see it, you hear it in your voice. You see it in your face. Talk about what you have going right now at WagerTalk.com.
I think we've got 7 or 8 plays up for today's card, including the 5% play. Excuse me. 5% is only our second of the season. We won our last one. Don't put out many 5%, but I do have one today. And as was mentioned, number 1 the last 3 days, number 1 the last 7, number 1 the last 30, number one since May 1st in Major League Baseball. A lot of good baseball handicappers on our site. So big fight between all of us to get the number one in profit for the season. But I've got all that going today, including that big 5% play. Normally I'd say buy the 5%. Why buy the 5% when you can get a full week for $49? That's the way to take a look at this. When they got that special right now, I believe it's $20 or $30 off what a full week would be. So get that 7 for 7 special going right now and get this bargain price and get that for the next 7 days, because we've been red hot. And when I'm hotter, I put out more plays. So when I'm seeing them right, I put out more plays, put out bigger plays. That's what we got going today, and that's what we've had the entire last 5 or 6 days or so.
And Brian clearly seeing things clearly in MLB. You can partner with him today with his $5 MLB best bet. But again, the best value, 7-day all access right now, $7 a day, $49. That is a limited time offer. I think it expires. I know it expires over the weekend. It may expire after today. So if you want to take advantage of that, do it right now. 7 for 7, $49. Full week all access available for Bryan Leonard or any of the cappers at WagerTalk.com. Bri, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great weekend. And that's going to wrap it for the week here at WagerTalk Today. We'll be back again on Monday. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Kelly Stewart is going to be my co-host next week. So that should be a lot of fun. Between now and then, enjoy the weekend. Best of luck with all your bets.